Alright, so you just started playing Warthunder. There's a whole bunch on your screen, and you don't know what any of it means. A lot of it's confusing. You don't really know what you should be doing here. Don't worry about that. This video is going to go over the basics, and it's basically going to tell you everything you're going to need to know before you start playing matches and you start grinding for the higher tier planes. Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to do is go into options and change a couple of our main settings here. So in common battle settings, I like to put the damage indicator scale to max, show bonuses on screen always, and turn the camera shake to minimum. Down in the battle interface settings, it's important to have your fuel, your ammo, and your temperature indications set to always, so you always know what's going on with your plane. And then down in your measurement units, you can switch from metric to imperial if that is what is more comfortable for you. So now that you got your settings fixed, what you're going to want to do is the tutorials that will pop up underneath events and tournaments. These will take about 20 to 30 minutes to do all of them. There's one for planes, one for tanks, and then one for ships. And all in all, they give you about $2 to $2.50 worth of the premium currency, and you're going to want that for a move that we're going to make later when we're able to put that to good use to get you started on the right foot. So the first thing that's important to talk about before we do anything else is the modifications. You can either access them on the current plane you're using by clicking this big button, or you can access them for any plane in the game by right-clicking on the plane's icon and then going to modifications. This will also work with any planes that are in your hangar. And here we're going to look at the flight performance, survivability, and weaponry upgrades. These are things that you'll gain experience towards when you're playing the game with this plane, and it'll give you XP towards unlocking upgrades for that plane. The flight performance mainly focuses on horsepower and climb rate. Survivability mostly affects your turn time and maneuverability, and the weaponry allows you to customize your machine gun belts and add bombs if you wish to do so, and add improvements to the guns, which will make them more accurate and less likely to overheat quickly. My recommendation is to get the offensive belts first, so that you get rid of the crappy default belts as soon as possible, and then work on your flight performance and survivability until it's time to come back to the upgraded guns and whatever other ordnance you want to use. So after modifications, we'll talk about crew, customization, and boosters. So the crew is something that you will gain points from using that crew that a plane is assigned to. You can see I have crew slot 1, 2, and 3 here, and I can pay Silver Lions to get a 4th crew, and I can pay more Silver Lions to get a 5th, and so on and so forth. But for air realistic battles, you're really only going to need 1 or 2. You can go into the crew tab, and passively you will earn points for your crew by just playing the games, getting kills, getting points, and you can put them into things like G tolerance and stamina to make your pilot less likely to black out from G forces, vitality to make him survive higher caliber rounds, or in logistical services, you can put it into weapon maintenance to make the guns overheat slower, and other useful stuff like that. It's highly recommended to purchase a qualification for the tier 1 planes that you're going to be using early on, just because it is so cheap to do so, and the rewards for what it actually does for your plane is very high. Customization, as a little side note, will allow you to put decals and stickers on your plane. You can put anything from digits to various allied inscriptions, German symbols, emblems, and more, many more of these will be unlocked to you as you play and achieve various things in the game. So now we're going to talk about the differences between the nations in the game, because there is a lot of them now. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the differences between all the nations in the game, because there is a lot of them now, and the main ones we're going to be looking at are from USA all the way through to Japan. I'm going to skip over China because all they are is a bunch of copy and paste vehicles from the other tech trees. And then we're going to look at Italy, and France isn't particularly competitive, so we'll leave them out for now. How you progress the airplanes in the trees is it will require you to purchase 6 vehicles of the previous rank before you move on to the next rank. So you can see here this bracket is rank 1. All of these planes are rank 1. All of these down here in this bracket are rank 2. All of these planes are rank 3, and so on and so forth. So if you're choosing to go down the American line, really, to get to the final tier, to get to jets, you don't need to research anything in the dive bomber to heavy ground attack line. You don't need to research anything in the bomber line. You can just get your 6 fighters from the Navy line of fighters and the Army line of fighters, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on all the way down. These are the planes you're going to want to grind if you would like to be dogfighting and going up against other fighters in the game. The differences between all the nations, to run down quickly: USA is mostly jack of all trades, have very even keel performance stats, but they perform better at high altitude and using energy fighting tactics. Germany is very much the same, but the acceleration is a little bit better on the low end. These planes will get going faster, quicker, and at lower altitudes, and their firepower is on average much greater. The Russians are very jack of all trades. Their planes work very well at low altitude, which suits them to the meta of the game, but at high altitude they struggle very much, and they can outturn the tightest turning planes in the game, and they can outrun the fastest planes in the game, so that puts them in a nice little middle spot. Britain has some of the most maneuverable planes in the game for the Spitfire fighter line. The Hurricane line that leads into the Typhoons and the Tempest is more of a heavy fighter. Those closely resemble the Americans. And the Japanese are basically an entire tech tree of Spitfires for the British. So all of them are very lightweight, agile, maneuverable planes with decent armament, and they take a very specialized playstyle to play. Italy is very much like Germany, but on average they tend to be a little bit more maneuverable and a little less fast. So one of the first things you're going to want established in Warthunder, because there's a lot to unlock and there's a lot to do, is to establish your grind. And this is what you'll be working towards as an eventuality, and it'll keep all of your energy and concentration focused on something that actually matters to you. So we'll go into the American tech tree, and we'll say that hypothetically you're grinding them. If you're a fan of the P-51s, those are found at rank 4, and they have all of these planes before them. Now you're going to want to use the Army line to unlock planes gradually all the way down towards the P-51. If you're more of a Navy fan and you really like Corsairs, the F4Us are mostly found between rank 2 and rank 3, and you get them by going down the Navy line. You want to find what your target plane is and make sure that your energy is spent going towards that plane with the least resistance possible. That'll make the game a lot more fun for you, and it'll make you feel like everything you do when you're in matches actually matters. So a big tip that I have for using the golden eagles that you're given for completing the tutorials is to go ahead and click up here and purchase another 1,000 of them for $7, and this will put you at 1,340 to start with. Now this is just enough to buy either the A6M2 rank 3 premium or the BF109F4, which in my opinion is a better option, rank 3 premium. Both of these planes will give you much greater rewards than any of the other planes in the regular tech tree you'll be using, and since they are rank 3, their efficiency, which is how quickly they'll gain XP, will be useful to you all the way through to tier 4. If you were to buy one of these earlier, cheaper premiums, they would be good in the short term, but they would lose efficiency once you started ranking up and trying to get into your P38s and your F4U, 4Bs, and stuff like this. I would suggest the BF109 F4 over the A6M2, mainly because it's more of a jack-of-all-trades aircraft. The firepower and the ammunition load is better, and it has a slightly cheaper repair cost if you're not running a premium account. The only real advantages the A6M2 has is the much faster turn radius and the slightly lower battle rating.